Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your September the 23rd, just for today, in a meditation. How are you doing this morning? Okay, I hope you're doing good. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. The title of this meditation, Dealing with Gossip. In accordance with the principles of recovery, we try not to judge, stereotype, or moralize with each other. Now, that comes from the basic text, page 11. Let's face it, in Narcotics Anonymous, we live in a glass house of sorts. Our fellow members know more about our personal lives than anyone has ever known before. They know who we spend our time with, where we work, what step we're on, how many children we have, and so forth. And what our fellow members don't know, they will probably imagine. We may be unhappy when others gossip about us, but if we withdraw from the fellowship and isolate ourselves to avoid gossip, we also rob ourselves of the love, friendship, and unparalleled experience with recovery that our fellow members have to offer. A better way to deal with gossip is to simply accept the way things are and the way we are, and live our lives according to principles. The more secure we become with our personal program, the decisions we make, and the guidance we receive from a loving God, the less the opinions of others will concern us. Just for today, I am committed to being involved in the NA fellowship. The opinions of others will not affect my commitment to recovery. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. I like the concept of the fact that we live in a glass house in recovery of sorts, because most people gossip. I personally think, most people gossip about some of the information they do know, and they add a lot of information they don't know. And that's why it's such a slippery slope to even start to gossip, because it generally goes down the slope of untruth, right? It starts out with one little piece of information, and before you know it, there's analyzation about every decision the person has ever made in life, whether or not they're being truthful about this thing they shared at the meeting. And, and as a person that sponsors individuals, and individuals will come with their side of the story. They rarely, I want to say their side of the story. They come with the information they think you need to know. They rarely tell the whole story the way it unfolded. Most of the time, my experience is that from the point in time where a sponsee has decided to come to me, generally the situation has already arisen, has already taken place, and they'll start where they need to, right? So the situation is usually past tense. They'll start where they need to. They'll tell the piece that they are most bothered by. And then over the next few weeks of me asking the right questions and going back to the conversation, the rest of the story begins to evolve. And as that begins to take place, I am learning more information about them, but most of the time, if I'm being honest, I'm learning more information about other people. I always felt this way about gossip. If I am involved in the situation, if I am personally involved, not my husband, um, not the kids, not my neighbor, I personally am experiencing the situation. I have a right to share it with my sponsor and seek guidance. What I don't have a right to do is to gossip about the people that may even be involved, right? Not all the time is it necessary for my sponsor to know the names of the people involved because let's face it, sometimes recovery can be a very small circle, right? So I believe that it's better to protect those characters by using terminology such as I was talking to another recovery addict and thus and so happened. Now, most of the time, because my sponsor has known me for a while, she can figure out which characters I'm talking about. Now, if your sponsor is from your area, in your home group, he or she can figure out just from you talking generally who is involved. And so I believe that I steer away from finger pointing and blaming others and naming others when I use the term another recovering addict, right? And I go into my spiel with that. But as someone that sponsors people, I know a lot of people's business that I don't need to know. I just don't need to know it. And definitely when I'm in a meeting sharing, unless that individual is right there, and even if they are, I really, other than giving them a compliment, I can't really think of any reason why I would need to name someone. Right. And so gossip is a slippery slope. All of us do it. I don't know anyone that doesn't, self included. All of us gossip. However, I think when a person is talking about themselves, that changes, right? The scope of it. When a person is actively involved in the situation they're sharing about, I think it is just them retelling their story, not necessarily gossip, unless, of course, they start to name names. It's important, I think, in the fellowship for us to try to remember to avoid gossip. But what I want to say after all of that, even if a person is being gossiped about, 9 times out of 10, they got it honest, right? You remember that saying we used to say, every person has 15 minutes of fame and then it passes and you'll get your 15 minutes too. Just make sure you're secure enough in your recovery that 15 minutes of fame, right? When it goes from people praising you to people dogging you, right? That your recovery is strong enough to be able to last, right? The opinions of others, that is never going to affect my commitment. It may hurt my feelings that I'm being gossiped about, but it will never affect my commitment to recovery. You'll find that people will keep secrets from you and sit in a meeting with you every day and not say anything about the truth that they know and allow you to go through situations that if someone had just pulled you aside and said, you know what, I have reason to believe that this thing that you're holding on to, this relationship, that person is not committed to you like that. right? If someone had just pulled me aside and told me the truth instead of worrying about being the point man, right? So people will they'll gossip about what they want to, and they'll retain the information that they want to. Remember, you're in a room of recovering addicts that are all still trying to balance and figure out how to apply spiritual principles. Their application all the time doesn't meet my standard and will not always meet yours. But that's the beautiful part about it. It's your standard. So you are the one that needs to meet it. No one else. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. Have a beautiful day on purpose.